Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. We hope you're all well on this Friday night. Tonight's video is going to be part 2 of my Rugby League Coffee Club series where I answer your questions which you've asked me on Instagram. And there's a lot of questions to get through, so I'm just going to get into them now. The first question comes from Beyond the Try Line, who's a YouTuber, and he asks, do you see Manly making the top 8 this year? I do see Manly making the top 8 this year. They're in a bit of a hole at the moment, but I think that they'll get out of it. Obviously, a big part of the reason why they're in the hole is because of Tom Trbojevic, but I see them doing enough to make the top 8 this year. The next question, the next few questions are from this Instagrammer called Evanath04, the first of which he asks, which team has let you down the most this year? I'd have to see North Queensland have let me down the most this year. I had them finishing in the finals, finishing about 5th this year, I think, by memory. And they look well off the pace from finishing 5th. At this stage, it looks like they're not going to make the finals, so very disappointed in them. His next question is, who do you think is the team that has surprised you the most this year? That would be 2 teams, Parramatta, my team, and Penrith. I tipped Parramatta to come about 11th or 12th this year. I didn't think that they'd be able to handle the expectation after 2019, but they've exceeded my expectations. And also Penrith, I had them finishing around about the same place. I didn't pick them making the finals at all, and here they are in the top 4, so well done to both clubs. And his final question is, how do you think St George will go in the future? Well, it's hard to see, actually, because 2017 they just missed out on the finals. They lost on the final day to Canterbury to get into 8th place. Next year, 2018, they were only a minute away from a preliminary final. Then in 2019, they were only a couple of points away from a wooden spoon. And then this year, they're kind of up and down. So it's hard to tell how they're going to go in the future. I think a lot of it rests on McGregor leaving the club and then hopefully Shane Flanagan coming in and being the head coach. The next question comes from the Bundy chick 82, who's a YouTuber, and she asks, if there's a rugby league player you could meet, who would it be? It'd be Nathan Ironmarsh. I grew up with as being a Parramatta fan, as you all know, and Nathan Ironmarsh was my favourite player growing up, so I'd love to meet Ironmarsh and have a chat with him. It'd be an interesting chat, but a chat nonetheless. The next question comes from Warriors NRL Fanatics, and he asks, do you think the Walker brothers would be a good fit for the Warriors head coaching role? I don't think so. I think New Zealand's going to need an experienced head coach going forward. If someone like the Walker brothers or some other coach come in that isn't experienced at NRL level, I think they'd really struggle because they'd be walking into a really tough job and they'd be walking into a really tough culture. So I think for New Zealand going forward, I think they really need to find that experienced coach. Who that would be, I'm not too sure, but I think if the Walker brothers were thrown in there, I don't think that they'd be able to handle it. The next question comes from Manly Warringah Seagulls Reports, who asks, who do you think is the right coach for Canterbury Bankstown? I think it's going to have to be someone, as I said earlier with New Zealand, they have to be experienced. They have to be experienced at NRL level. I think Trent Barrett being possibly named as the Canterbury coach, I think Trent Barrett would really struggle in the Canterbury job because he'd be coming into a real shit fight. The culture's rotten there at the moment. The players are not happy. The club's down the bottom. I think they need someone in there that understands how to coach at an NRL level, and they also need someone that possibly understands the culture of Canterbury. I think, as I said, they need someone that's going to have a bit of experience, because unfortunately for someone like Dean Peay, it was his first job and he was kind of thrown into the deep end and it was a real struggle. So I think going forward they're going to need an experienced coach, whoever that might be. I think maybe Anthony Griffin would be good as Canterbury head coach. But maybe a Jeff Tuvey, someone like that. But we'll see who they name as the coach. The next question comes from Lorenzo Mako, who asks, who has been the buy of the year so far, in your opinion? Off the top of my head, Apasai Coruscant for Penrith. He left Manly, signed with Penrith, and he's been great in the number 9 position this year for Penrith. So I'd probably see Apasai Coruscant. The next question comes from Nino, who's an Instagrammer, who says, what English players would have been immortals if they played in Australia? Well, that's a really tough question because to be an immortal you have to be the best, obviously, and there's been lots of players that have come that have gone from here, England, to Australia, and they've really struggled. But I can name some players that I think were some of the best in England that never actually went to Australia and gave it a go, such as Paul Wellens, Kieran Cunningham, Keith Senior, Kevin Sinfield, Sean O'Loughlin, and then there's a host of other players pre-Super League that they spent their whole career in England and they never went to Australia and never gave it a go. And especially for players like Paul Wellens, who played over 500 matches for St Helens, who knows how good he would have been in the NRL if he would have gone over. But I think out of all the players that have come over currently, like your James Grahams and Sam Burgesses and that, they're all great players, but I wouldn't say that they're in the immortal category. But and I think there's been a lot of English players that have done well here, but they just haven't proven themselves over in Australia. The next question comes from Sibi Powell, who's an Instagrammer, who says, your top 3 favourite North Sydney players of all time. So I thought about this before the video, and I'll go for Jason Taylor, Greg Florimo and Matt Sears. But in reality, I love them all. Billy Moore, David Fairley, Gary Larson, Mark Soden, Chris Caruana, all those players in the 90s. And then all the players previously, Mark Graham, Don McKinnon, Ken Irvine, Howard Hardy, Seth Blinkhorn, all of them. So, but that's my top 3 favourite North Sydney players. The next question comes from Isaac Ritchie, who asks, are the Penrith Panthers a chance at winning the Premiership this year? My answer is, well, they're in the running. If they can make the top 4 and they get that second bite of the cherry, then anything's possible. I think they'll come close this year. I'm not too sure if they'll actually win the Premiership, but if they can get that top 4 spot, then anything's possible. So I think if they get the top 4, they can win it. The next question comes from Hayden Otley, who asks, who should Canberra target after Nick Cotric's departure? Would you think that Alex Johnson or Adol Carr would be a good signing? I think either of those players would be a good signing. Alex Johnson is a proven NRL player, Premiership winner. He's played over 130 matches, scored I think over 80 tries. He's a great try scorer. He can play a couple of positions in the back line, not just on the wing. He can play full back as well, so he'd be handy there. And of course, Josh Addo-Carr, he'd also be a great signing. So either of those would be a smashing signing for Canberra. And then CJ Moxley asks, what club do you see Josh Addo-Carr going to? Well, it's no secret that he wants to leave Melbourne and come back to Sydney, where all his family is. There's a number of clubs I think he could go to. I think he could maybe retain to the West Tigers, maybe, because obviously you got David Norfoluma on one wing, but on the other wing, that position's a bit vacant at the moment. They got a rookie in there at the moment. Canterbury, I've got the war chest out. Apparently, they got £3 million in the bank, so they're looking for players, but they've just signed Kotrick, so I'm not too sure if they'd also go for Addo-Carr. And then you've also got South Sydney with Alex Johnson, I think, leaving the club. There's the potential that Addo Carr could go there, and it would kind of be a bit of a running trend with South at the moment, where they've sacked players in the past and then they've come back and signed with the club. So if you don't know, James Roberts was sacked by South Sydney for off the field incidents, and he was later re-signed by the club. And I think with Addo Carr, he was sacked as a South Sydney junior, and who knows, maybe next year when the market reopens, I think potentially you could see Addo Carr playing for South. I think it's either probably going to be between South Sydney, West Tigers, and potentially Eastern Suburbs out of the Sydney clubs that would probably be looking for his signature. So I've got a couple more questions to end the video. The first one comes from Panand, or I think his name's Patrick Nand. He's got a couple of pages on Instagram and Facebook, and he asks, what's your favourite Parramatta jersey of all time? It'd be the current one that they're wearing now. Well, it's what I call the 1986 design. So they first wore it in 1986. From 1986 to 1995, they wore this jersey as their home shirt, and then they've been wearing it on and off ever since. And then this year it's made a return as the home shirt once again. It's my favourite design. I love it. If I was the Parramatta CEO, I'd make it the permanent jersey of Parramatta. I think the jersey is just perfect for the club, and I absolutely love it. So that's me video on your questions that you've asked on Instagram for the Coffee Club episode round 2. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click that like button. If you're enjoying the channel and what I'm making, click that subscribe button and click that notification bell so you get an email when I do a new video. But as always, everyone, enjoy the Rugby League tomorrow, and I'll catch you all later. Ta-ra.